In today's episode, we take a look back at the destinies of three Nigerian presidents who were all assassinated while on duty. Three men who ascended to top big, but paid for it with their lives. Abubakar Tafawa Balewa was the first Prime Minister of Nigeria after it gained independence. He served his term as Prime Minister from 1957 until he died in 1966 when he was kidnapped and killed in the country's first military coup. During his reign as Prime Minister, Balewa had been influential in the formation of the Organization of African Unity. He was knighted in 1960 by Queen Elizabeth II. Balewa's 2 years as Prime Minister of Nigeria was loud due to tensions in western region of the country. Nigeria was comprised of 3 regions, each with a considerable amount of self-governance. This caused tensions as the leaders of the respective regions were set on completely separating their regions from the influence of the federal government and other regional leaders. When one of the leaders in the western region, Chief Obafemi Awolowo, was charged with treasonable felony by Balewa's government, it led to many of Balewa's supporters turning against him. Violence broke out in the region after elections took place in 1965, as many were not pleased with the outcome. The tensions and violence in the area eventually led to the January 15, 1966 coup. On January 15, 1966, Major Emmanuel Ifeajuna and some lieutenants left the 2nd Brigade headquarters and made their way to the Prime Minister Abubakar Tafawa Balewa's residence. Ifeajuna kicked down the door of the Prime Minister's bedroom before leading him out at gunpoint. It appears that while the arrest of the Prime Minister was part of the plot, his murder may not have been. Ifeajuna and some of his co-conspirators may have exceeded their orders in killing him. Balewa was not killed until it was clear that the coup was doomed to fail. Balewa asked for and was given time to say his prayers before he was shot by Major Emmanuel Ifeajuna. Tafawa Balewa was buried in Bauchi. News of his assassination spurred violent riots throughout northern Nigeria and ultimately led to the bloody counter-coup of July 1966. Agun Ironsi was Nigeria's first military head of state, following the forceful ouster of the civilian government on January 15, 1966. He was also overthrown in the counter-coup, which culminated on July 29, 1966. On 29 July 1966, Agun Ironsi spent the night at the government house in Ibadan as part of a nationwide tour. His host, Lieutenant Colonel Adekunle Fajuyi, military governor of the western Nigeria, alerted him to a possible mutiny within the army. Agun Ironsi desperately tried to contact his chief of army staff, Yakubu Gowon, but he was unreachable. In the early hours of the morning, the government house Ibadan was surrounded by soldiers, led by Theophilus Danjuma, who later arrested Agun Ironsi and questioned him about his alleged complicity in the coup which saw the demise of the Sardauna of Sokoto, Sir Ahmadu Bello. The circumstances leading to Agun Ironsi's death still remain a subject of much controversy in Nigeria. His body and that of Fajuyi were later discovered in a nearby forest. Legend had it that the crocodile mascot carried by Agun Ironsi made him invisible, and that it was used to dodge or deflect bullets when he was on a mission in the Congo. He was captured and interrogated by his junior officers. He refused to answer their questions because they were his junior officers, and he considered it disrespectful to be questioned by them. They led him into a bush and shot him dead after stripping him. Despite the stories, the crocodile mascot probably had something to do with the name Agun, as it translates to crocodile in Igbo. He was accorded a state funeral with full military honors on January 20, 1967. Murtala Muhammad, one of the military rulers who led Nigeria through years of dictatorship, has his name engraved on some of Nigeria's most important infrastructures, including the international airport in Lagos. He was in his early 20s when he joined the Nigerian army and exited as a slain military head of state at the age of 37. Muhammad was a man of many controversies, But there is no denying that he was detribalized, authentic, eager, bold, stubborn, and most of all, very religious. He was the second head of state to die in power and hold the record for the second shortest reign by a head of state. He spent 201 days in office. He was assassinated on his way to work by some military men who were loyalists to the then head of the Nigerian Army Physical Training Corps, Lieutenant Colonel Bukasuka Dinka. On 13 February 1976, General Murtala Muhammad set up for work in his official black Mercedes-Benz. Shortly after 8 a.m., his Mercedes-Benz car traveled slowly in the infamous Lagos traffic near the Federal Secretariat at Ikoyi in Lagos, and a group of soldiers emerged from an adjacent petrol station, ambushed his vehicle, and assassinated him. It was surprising that Murtala, who is supposed to be heavily guarded as the military head of state, was left at the mercy of the coup plotters. Killing the head of state was the easiest part of the coup, as they met little or no resistance from Murtala. The assassination was part of an attempted coup led by Lieutenant Colonel Bukasuka Dinka. He was captured and executed on 15 May 1976 at the Kirikiri Maximum Security Prison in Lagos for treasonable felony.